Michigan Tech University has been recognized by the federal government for its work in cybersecurity.
The university is one of 5 recipients this year to stand out among thousands of competitors. TV6's Houghton Hancock Bureau reporter Colin Jackson tells us about the award and the university's research plans for the future.
Michigan Tech University's Keweenaw Research Center is the latest recipient of the Jack Donnelly Award for Excellence in Counterintelligence from the Department of Defense. The department's Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency distributes the award.
Michigan Tech is part of the NISP, the National Industrial Security Program. That's 12,500 companies that work on classified and sensitive research and information for the U.S. government. This reflects the maturity of their program, the excellence demonstrated in counterintelligence to protect that sensitive and classified information that they work on.
The award has been distributed since 2010. The university's president of research says this award highlights the defense work and research the university has conducted for more than 30 years.
And the counterintelligence work is an integral piece to that because, as a university, we create a lot of innovations and we need to protect those innovations. Foreign adversaries are interested in those innovations.
I did ask for some details of the counterintelligence work the university has done, but it remains classified. However, Bernard says that the university's support of national security research will continue to grow.
It's a large part of our research portfolio. We have great partners within the federal government who continue to fund us and partner with us on lots of different projects.
Congressman Jack Bergman, State Senator Ed McBroom, and State Representative Greg Markinen were all at today's event. Colin Jackson, TV6 News, Houghton.